Hello, and welcome to Bodied, a Cloud9 fan cast. On this latest episode, we have a lot to cover today, including an exciting new Cloud9 sponsor, some interesting Battle Royale news, as well as all the goings on with CSGO, Overwatch, and League of Legends. I'm your host, Havocpuss. I'm joined by Frozen Creek, Dr. Manhattan, and a big listener in front of the show, Arn. Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
I'm doing well. I went skiing last weekend. I am not in pain, and I did not hurt anything. So I consider that an accomplishment in my.
Is that really skiing though? If you don't at least break one bone in your body?
I fell a couple times. I tried my hardest. I got pretty drunk for one of the runs down the biggest hill. So
You got a pizza and French fry. You got to know when to pizza and French fry Frozen. That's the big thing.
yeah, Andres is the expert here. He's the one who works at a ski hill. So
Yeah, it's me, guys. Honduras. It's been like, I don't know, a couple months, but I'm back. And yes, I am, I guess, an expert on this topic. Uh, Basically, what you want to
relative to
do
us.
is you want to keep your feet straight, and you also don't want to break any bones, and that's basically it. As you can tell, I am the expert.
Yeah, that's good advice. I just keep your legs straight, bend over, and just a barrel down a hill.
Yeah, in skier talk, they would refer to it as sending it, and that's basically what you do.
That's what I do. And Dr. Manhattan is also here. Hello.
Hello, hello. I'm excited to be here, as always.
All right, well, gentlemen, let's get right into it. With the first actually pretty exciting story, Cloud9. We've always liked to see C9 bring in the really big sponsors, and they've landed a big one here with AT&T, the telecommunications juggernaut. They have decided to partner with AT&T to become a sponsor. They will also be doing what looks like a media deal as well. It's a show called The Nines, and it's essentially going to display like player stats, player stories, news, upcoming matches, that kind of thing. Sort of functioning maybe like a kind of like a Cloud9 like news center, somewhat. It's a really interesting idea, and I'm actually really excited to see what this will bring for the organization, just in terms of like monetary, rewards. Maybe we can get that big facility that C9 is planning to have finished by the end of the year a bit quicker.
Yeah, it's going to be what it sounds like is that it's going to be a decent amount more content. It might maybe replace some of the shows that they do on YouTube and just kind of give it higher production quality. But I think it's good. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of AT&T, and we'll have to see how it turns out. But I have to imagine that it's gonna be fun for the players and fun for the org and fun for the people who work for AT&T that get to do all this stuff all day.
I mean, at least they're not Comcast, am I right?
They're about the same, I think,
Yeah, I'm gonna say
in different
I mean,
ways.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
no.
what I was gonna say is just, I mean, I would just say, while again, I'm not, again, even though I'm not terribly fond of AT&T. I don't really use them, not too much, but it just to me is such a big step in how we can secure bigger, more non-endemic sponsorships like AT&T. I mean, that's huge right there. I mean, again, we're used to seeing. I just like seeing how many more sponsors or non-endemic stuff we get, because again, it's not hard to sell or to get Red Bull or Logitech or HyperX or what, like, or NZXT to sponsor you. To me, in esports, what's hard to get a sponsor like the way we got with Puma, or the way Immortals got with like K Swiss, or I think even TSM at one point even had
TSM
like,
had Dr. Pepper and Chipotle,
yeah, but to
I
say
think, at
like
one
even
point.
something like that is like it's much more impressive than getting. But I mean, this is another step of this, and I remember at one point we even had T-Mobile, which they're by all means a good one, but like AT&T is like practically a monopoly at this point, and seeing them not only just have this deal, but just how they're trying to extend this deal in terms of, oh, we're not just going to partner up. We also want to do a whole thing with AT&T with like the show that you're talking about, the Nines and stuff like that. And it's just another step in trying to really cement esports into maybe not to an audience that might be unfamiliar with it. On top of the fact that how many people watch esports on their phones.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I know not too many people are fond of AT&T, but securing this thing, like they still have a lot of customers and a lot of presence, and it's really nice to see them like a super big corporation that uh, Dr. Manhattan was talking about before, like how they're not very like they're super huge and they're not really that known for kind of hopping onto esports teams. To see them actually like make an extra step by not just financially backing us, but also being involved in our media and etc. It's really nice to see that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's move on to our next topic. And this isn't as big of a deal, but something that I thought was interesting. He protect, he attack, but most importantly, Grego come back. For those that aren't maybe too familiar, way back when Cloud9 was just C9 Overwatch, and we had Surefour and we had Mendo. Grego was a part of our Overwatch team. He he had to leave when we were doing the whole London Spitfire thing and all that, but he has returned with open arms to become an Apex Legends player for us. I thought that was cool news. I thought that was at least something worth mentioning, just in that, I always like to see players come back. So I thought that was really interesting. But speaking of players and coming and going, it seems that C9 has pretty much abandoned Fortnite, as a lot of the players have moved on to other stuff and become free agents just recently. I believe Jacob Hysteria, our probably our biggest Fortnite player, has announced his free agency, and he's no longer with C9. So it looks like Cloud9 moving away from Fortnite. And I think it's kind of a logical decision when you look at how the events for Fortnite are structured. There is no like guaranteed money. They're not like organized very well. How the events are run as well are run really weird, and how they function. So I think that Fortnite seems to be really staggering just as an esport. And I think that C9 is moving towards like, okay, PUBG's doing really well, and they have like a dedicated league that is operating. Apex can maybe do the same thing since that's becoming a big thing. So I think that dropping Fortnite seems to be just a logical conclusion, despite the game being kind of popular.
I do want to say, though, as a quick aside, it's funny that you have now 3 former Overwatch players now going into Apex. Actually, if you guys didn't know, Silk Thread and Grim Reality used to play in the Overwatch League. I think they played for both. They played for, I forget which LA
They
teams
played for Vital. They played for Los Angeles Valiant.
Oh, yeah, one played. I think Silk Thread played also for the Gladiators too, or I think. But like, yeah, they're a fun fact. This is just another thing. They're also on Genji's Apex team. So I just find that as a quick aside, just funny that there's now 3 former Overwatch players now going into Apex.
I guess that makes sense considering that the two games are fairly similar, and they kind of have like similar mechanics in terms of how the heroes function and everything. So it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get to see them in action super soon with some actually big events coming up. I didn't want to stay on that topic long. I just thought that'd be kind of interesting news.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But the first actual big topic of discussion, CSGO, and once again us being down to having no idea what to do with the roster, because we were dealt two pretty big blows. Flusha, who also sadly lost his mother recently, decided to leave C9 and just step away from the scene a bit to kind of, I guess, gather himself as well as take a break. But also Zelsis, his sort of trial stand-in run has ended. He is now looking for teams again. And Golden, our boy who has been holed up in medical leave, he's healthier now and he's ready to return to the team. So now we're back to 4 people with Golden, Kiyashima, Rush, and Automatic. So what does this spell for the team, as well as potentially who could we even get? Because it seems like I see names, but I've never heard of any of the names that people mention. and it's all a very confusing situation.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are referencing a couple players. Like I know some people have been talking about Chris J, and I think someone was talking about Sunny. There are also people talking about Smooya. It seems like a lot of the fans are kind of just like jumping off the NA train at this point. Which I mean, if that means we win more games, I'm all for it. But at the same time, it's just interesting to see where at least the fans think it'll take them. I personally think we might try to reinvest in maybe some more NA talent, or if we can find another. I think we might need another fragger. So if I guess maybe NA or EU will work at this point since our roster has gone through many fluctuations in region majority. So at this point, I mean, even having an incomplete roster is nothing new. So I could see it maybe being another EU player, but perhaps a fragger.
Yeah, and I can see that being the case right now, because I mean the only NA team that's even still getting a fully NA team right now is like or is housing one right now is probably like Liquid ever since they got rid of Taco and added Stewie. But I mean you even have like NRG who's like I think one of their players is Bulgarian. But
I
yeah, I
think
mean
Tarek also recently moved to NRG.
also the fact that Tarek also was not on energy, I was about to mention that. So I mean, and really one of the problems with housing like this a super NA team is either one, it's all spread out everywhere, and that's been the case for years with NACS, and either that or it's just super expensive to create like an NA super team. Like it's even amazing how much Steve has even put into like Team Liquid right now because I mean Stewie could not have been easy to get. Not to mention guys like Naf or keep guys like Twister or Leech who are all at the top of their game right now. So
I,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say also just the talent part of it. I think the NA scene just I think either has too many, and I've been saying this for a while that it seems that the CS:GO scene has a lot of like a really stagnated talent pool where the big names that are really talented just get shifted around from team to team, and there's no real bringing up from like smaller scenes or like really investing in up and coming talent from big teams. So it seems like it's really hard to break into like the top tier scene as an up and coming player. And I think that you get a more concentrated talent in Europe probably than in NA. You know, NA just doesn't seem to maybe have that much to really offer. So I think that may also be another difficulty of trying to field another NA player.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the biggest problems. Yeah, I just again, it's just again ever since the major left and the team just like kind of disbanded from the roster. It's just been hard to get like a super consistent roster, and I would say I would say yeah, Fragger is probably where we want to start, or at least try to have one.
I think it's mostly just frustrating just because this is like I think maybe the fifth or sixth time that C9 is like, well, we only have four people now and we don't know what to do. You know, like I think really just we need some consistency rather than, getting a replacement only to lop them off like after maybe only a couple of events.
Yeah, it's pretty unlucky.
Hopefully the team can figure out exactly what to do. Um and we can report some good news soon. Moving on to Overwatch. I always like to talk about Overwatch. First up, the British Hurricanes look like they are looking like to have a really good season going. Their new additions, I believe one of them played Suna. He looked really good and a great addition to the team. They beat I forgot the name, but it was something money. But they beat them pretty well. Uh, I hope that this team like can really take it, and take another contenders championship.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been nice to see all of our like super good players kind of graduate, if you will, up to the Overwatch League. But it's nice to see that hopefully we are finally re-solidifying our team after losing some of our bigger names, and I'm pretty excited now that they show some really good signs.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not that too broken up and us losing a player if it means them getting to go up to Overwatch League. I think that's the goal of the contender scene and everyone on the British Hurricanes, to foster the talent and then get them up to a point where they can and play at a higher stage.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah,
I'm super proud of like Fusions, for example. He was one of the people from the Hurricanes that went on to bigger and better things. So hopefully our Hurricane boys can do it again. Um, Moving on to Spitfire news, we had one match. They played against the LA Gladiators and they won 2-1, but it was a really rough game. I, for one, am just going to be glad that stage one is over soon and we can get rid of this awful goats meta.
Yeah, but don't worry. We'll actually. I mean, I'm pretty sure the public test realm it's already been confirmed that they're nerfing the crap out of goats. I mean, I think I saw a
Yes,
read
please
that's
do so.
totally.
If I have to see another triple tank, triple support option run on 4 maps, I'm going to shoot myself because it's really boring to watch.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, no question. I forget what it was again, but like I remember the main nerfs that were being looked at is I think that they were looking to nerf Lucio was one of the bigger things. I forget. I'm not sure whether they're trying to do something with Brigida, but yeah, I mean the name of the game right now is just goats right now, and it just sucks. And on the bright side, though, I'm glad we have some sort of stability with the fact that guard is pretty much I would say the most valuable player in the game right now. I mean, or in our team right now, probably next to Profit, just because it just doesn't seem it's very crazy and almost scary how many characters Prophet can play so like just so well, and it just seems like they just put him on whenever and he'll gladly do it. And meanwhile, you have guard doing a very good job trying to fill in the role. I think he's mainly the somber specialist, but him trying to do or try to pick up what Burgerings really couldn't do, unfortunately. The fact that we were so like the fact that we went from reverse sweeping like Washington last week to now even this past week just convincingly beating like the Guangzhou being Guangzhou like after that and then not only that, now we just crushed the Gladiators, who were supposed to be like a really good goats team. It's confusing, but it's now confusing me for the better. It's like, all right, fine, we're finally stable. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, I
yeah.
think I think. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you going to say something?
No, I was just gonna make a little remark. Like, I like how at this point it's not just if you're a good team; it's if you're a good goats team. Like, that's how broken this comp is. From a viewer point perspective, I'm so glad to see it go. But now you go.
Yeah, I'm personally just glad that I think that each week the London does look better and better. Um, I do kind of feel nervous when I see Gesture on Ryan, just because he's not the strongest Ryan player when he's matched up against other Ryans. I think sometimes just because he's used to the mobility and everything from Winston, and Ryan plays so much differently, and since he is so used to playing Winston like 90% of the time, I think that he struggles at times. I think the big thing that's keeping us doing well is basically just Profit and Fury putting the team on their collective backs and just saving us every time like the team makes a mistake in a fight. So they're the real MVPs, and I hope that if Jack is listening, to give both of them real big raises because they definitely deserve it.
Yeah, I remember even on Oversight, Monty made a remark of just saying like if it's one person they have to play around right now, or at least try to build around, and go into the contender scene right now to see if there's anything we can do about this. It's like probably Profit is the player you want to go around because this guy goes from being like a DPS like god on dive stuff like Genji and Tracer to like, oh, you want me to play Brigida? I can do that. Oh, Burgerang can't play Zarya? I can do that too. It's like it almost frightens me how many heroes this kid can
Plus,
play.
he's like consistent with it too. He doesn't like literally drop off when he's switching roles.
Yeah, it's really stupid and but it's also cool. And we play Shanghai, who actually are looking.
They've won a few games.
Yeah,
They're looking better.
My God.
yeah, it's crazy. They're looking fairly respectable right now. In this entire league, I mean, they lost in a game 5 to Dallas, but like these guys are actually looking half decent right now. compared to like their form last week. So I mean, this is it to go into the stage playoffs. I believe. I mean, we have this and Seoul left. Seoul was looking. I think Seoul's looking pretty decent as well, despite what their record might show. And granted, they had to play the Excel, who are also a very top team. But again, like, uh, I would say this is. I'm not gonna say it's the gauntlet right now for London, but I would compare more so like this. It's more like a very soft gauntlet in the sense of we're just gonna see how well we can do this or ride this momentum going into playoffs. Because if we can, now that we have a slightly better hold on this meta, it's just like now we just have to just wait and ride it out until next stage, which I would assume what the speculated nerfs go into. Which the big ones, by the way, I'm reading right now. It's just Lucio, Zarya, and Zen. Zen's kind of getting buffed and nerfed, but Zarya and Lucio are getting very significant nerfs.
Yeah. Well, I think we've spent enough time chatting about Overwatch. Let's move on to League of Legends. A quick note. I believe our Academy team is in first place. I think
Yeah.
with their wins last week, they have bumped themselves up to first place.
Yeah, for a while they were closely following TSMA, but in the past, I feel like it was before this week, they've managed to. I think now they've managed to have a solid lead over TSMA, especially considering that we beat them recently.
Yeah. So that's great to see. I'm really excited once Academy MSI comes around to see how the team performs. Hopefully that they can snag the trophy and continue our Academy dominance.
Yeah, and the reason why I really want to watch Academy right now is because I actually listened to Hotline League last night, and pretty much this is what we've been hearing a lot more now, and we'll kind of segue into this when we talk about the main team. But the whole 7-man team thing is actually looking to be again a real thing, like it was used last year, and I think even Zazel actually the day we're recording this actually yesterday was on Hotline League. And he confirmed that, yep, we're gonna have a 7-man roster for the next couple of weeks. Like we're gonna try it out. Like he said it's like I definitely know who the player is, so it's confirmed. They didn't say who.
And I think that's safe because of their record. I would imagine that they don't have to win too many more games to secure a playoff spot,
No,
considering that they have been second and only sitting at 2 losses for a good long while now.
yeah, and also their academy. I'm actually looking at I'm actually looking at the overall standings right now and how many weeks are left. They're pretty much guaranteed at least a 6th place playoff spot for the Academy League, which is more than fine for them. And obviously these are very good players, some of which even have LCX experience. So, in terms of the academy thing, obviously we would love to win it all and just show how much of a talent factory this is in terms of producing young talent. But it's definitely good to see C9 Academy step it up a lot more now, especially because they were just neck and neck with guys like TSM Academy for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's really cool to see the progress of how we develop our players. Like I feel like it's always been a really big part of our organization, but sometimes it's not really that fully realized until you see all of our like last year our academy team absolutely obliterated it. And this year I think a lot of the other teams realized it and they strengthened up their secondary rosters, but we're still like definitely one of the very best teams in Academy, and I'm really interested to see how we pull off the new roster switches again. I think we can really like the amount of value we'll get out of trying out a 7-man roster will more than compensate if we manage to lose at least like one seeding. I think in the long run, our team will benefit a lot more.
For sure. Well, let's move on to the big boy stage as C9 had a kind of weird 2-0 weekend. They played Golden Guardians and TSM. For the Golden Guardians match, Blabber did sub in for Sven. So for the Golden Guardians match, a lot of people were calling it a fiesta. I did not see it that way, actually. If you watch the game, pretty much for the whole time, C9 had really crisp, clean macro play. They were taking more off of the map than Golden Guardians were. They were like really ahead in terms of dragon count. Everything was pretty much going all their way, but then they just kind of flummoxed. Like they just had a really weird Baron fight after they took Baron, and that's where everyone's like, "Oh, well, this is a Fiesta derp," and it's not really. I think if you just have like one bad fight, but then they come back and C9 like I'm pretty sure shortly after that wins the game. So I don't think that was much a Fiesta, but watching that game, Blabber looked good. He was actually oddly reserved. I was expecting him to be a lot more aggressive, but I think the team looked good, and especially from a macro perspective, despite having like one, maybe two odd fights.
Yeah, no, C9 did an insanely good amount, like during like all that macro play that was going on. Like they were up, I think it was like 5 drags or something, and Golden Guardians had been like up a couple kills, but they had still secured so much of the map and had a bunch of vision. There were some really strange early game misexecutions, and there's that weird Zazel headbutt right into their team that, and then C9 didn't really follow up. But at the same time, like in the long run, the team really stuck together. Sneaky has been huge as ever, and it's just been really nice to see them pull out these wins, especially the one uh, versus Golden Guardians, because I would have been really mad if we lost to them.
Likewise. I only really have two notes in terms of that. In terms of like, I mean, I kind of expected Blabber to be a bit more secured, but just because of the fact that if you really remember, the last time the dude's even played on a stage whatsoever was after the Gen G game. Other than that, he's just been playing nothing but academy games, and he had to sit out on the sidelines while Sven played out the rest of Worlds. So I mean, if he's kind of nervous, I get it. Like he's had stage experience, but like being that long off the stage and not having all those eyes, you're gonna have a bit of reservation. Luckily for him, he had a comfort pick like Rek'Sai that he's been spamming in solo queue, on top of the fact that he just won a really good game against Team Liquid on, where he just completely made Mike Young like irrelevant in that entire game. And I remember watching the VOD. But also, the only other side note I say is Callista Kench is one of the most unfun combos I've ever seen in my life. Because the amount of denied kills they had, it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And the thing is that C9 has, I think, always struggled against Tahm Kench. If you historically look at their matches, they pretty much always struggle in some respect, whether it's like not being able to clean up kills or just like the I forget what his ultimate's called, but him doing like the tunnel ultimate plays to like make like an even fight, like, oh, we have him, we can take it, and then like two other people show up because it's Tahm Kench and like the mid or the AD or something, and it's like, oh wait, no, now it's like 4v2 or whatever, and then they just die.
It's even more frustrating considering like Ole. There are so many times where he's out of position, and like we could have gotten like an easy double kill, but then Ole eats contracts, and then definitely ults as Kalista.
The nesting doll play, I will say, was sick.
It's so.
Oh yeah.
It's sick, but at the same time, it's like, damn it.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. Like that could have been a kill right there, except you've got two different consumes, and then after you're consumed, you can shoot them away like freaking halfway across the lane. So it's like super safe. And sometimes I feel like C9 kind of goes like pretty hard on certain carries or champions when they're like 5 feet away from Tahm Kench, and so then you end up expending a lot. And I feel like that's kind of been a weakness of C9 sometimes. It almost seems like they forget he's there.
Yeah, for sure. The TSM game, on the other hand, not the best game. I was not typically really just a fan of the comp that we were using, because really the only engage we had was Zazel on Galio, and my feelings towards the Galio support is that it's not that it can't work, it totally can, but I think that you need better champions to play around it so it can work more effectively. And especially with this poke comp, your only engage is getting like really bullied, so like he's either having to constantly recall or not able to go as hard as usual. As well as I think that since we were playing this really scaling comp, TSM's poke comp worked even better because like if you recall to like the game-winning fight, when we took him to the fight and we were able to split them up, we just steamrolled them. But since that we had to scale up to that point, it was really easy for TSM to utilize like their earlier damage to just kind of poke us out and then get us to a point where we can't fight, and then TSM kind of goes and gets kills and stuff. So I wasn't a fan of the comp, as well as I think um, just how we played it was kind of frustrating.
Yeah, no, I would not even say that we were probably a little bit lucky that TSM actually decided to try to fight us like that, because the last fight that basically helped us win the whole entire game, like they had gone in so far and we had 8 trucks in the back, actually being able to do something for once in the entire game.
I
And
felt I
if,
felt so bad for Licorice. Sorry to cut you
oh,
off, but
oh no,
I
no,
felt
I
so
was,
bad for him because I
yeah,
think he was not expecting the Nico pick at all. So when they decided to give Broken Blade Nico, I think Licorice just like, oh fuck,
yeah.
and then like he's just getting bullied out of lane constantly because it's ranged into melee. Plus the ranged has things like how Nico does her roots and how her spells work, as well as she has I think like an attack modifier for every third auto attack. She gets like extra damage, so she really just bullied Aatrox out of the lane, so Licorice couldn't properly do anything. And plus, Sven, I think, was preoccupied with, he couldn't really put jungle pressure anywhere because of how TSM's comp worked too. So he was just trying to stay relevant in his own right against Acadian.
Yeah, no, that blind pick was a little bit questioning into the Aatrox, especially at this point. Like he's not, super, I guess not super weak, but he's not exactly the strongest. Blind picking a melee champ basically just like put him in a super vulnerable spot. And that Nico combo where you basically walk up to a minion and you get chunked for half health because it's almost impossible to dodge the root, and then you get procced 2 or 3 times with that C or the Q. It's just like that was painful to watch.
Yeah, but I will say though, sorry, and then Dr. Manhattan, you can talk, I swear.
It's cool. It's cool.
But I will say that I do hope we kind of do see Nico more, because I think she's a super cool champion, just all around, just kit wise, lore wise, design wise. I think that she has a lot of things that I think can really make the game way more interesting, especially when she's sort of like Spy from Team Fortress 2, and that she can disguise herself as other champions, and sort of maybe have some head games around like, oh, who's coming out of that brush? It looks like it's just a support. Oh God, where'd my health go? Oh shit. Oh heck. And that, So I hope you do get to see Nico more, just because of a lot of stuff. So Dr. Manhattan, you go say your thing now. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I would say the only thing that I would have liked a bit more from that comp is maybe a bit more frontline. With
Yeah, that's what
Svenskeren.
I wanted to.
Yeah, at least with Svenskeren, I probably had to question the Kindred pick because it's just not really the tankiest of the fact that there was many times where like the whole point of like Kindred is supposed to just try to do as much damage to them as much as possible before they pop off the ult. Because I remember Zazel even in an interview says like if you can't kill the Kindred before like they pop off the ult, then you're probably gonna win. You're probably in a good space for that fight. You're giving them so much time for setup. And that was one of the biggest issues. And even in that fight where we won, where they ultimately threw it, and by the way, we won on a 2K deficit, which is pretty funny. Svenskeren like immediately got popped by the Varus Zoe combo, and luckily we were so good at managing their lack of resources because without Flash, like half those guys they weren't really the most mobile. Gragas could maybe disable a fight, or maybe Tom Kench could protect somebody, but Zoe doesn't have any clean escapes. Neither does Varus. Has no escape period, and unless you can kill them first, if they just gang up on you, you're just gonna lose every fight, which is good for Cloud9 to understand their condition there, because that was so unfun to play against. But
Yeah, I think that I agree with Sneaky, and to quote him from the latest Brain Check episode, fuck this comp, because as soon as TSM got their first Baron, I pretty much turned the stream off because I'm like, okay, I'm done, I can't watch this. And then like 15 minutes later, I get a notification on my phone or my iPad, oh, C9 takes the win, and I'm just like, what did you do?
Yeah, no, I remember hearing that at the end of the game, like right before they took off their headsets, Sneaky said that, and I was like, oh my god, so true. Because it was just so hard to
Sneaky
play
rarely
against
gets
it.
he rarely gets tilted. So when Sneaky gets tilted in game, it's kind of yikes.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, for sure. I was like, oh dang. When Sneaky starts like complaining about that, like that's when you know it's bad.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and even Zazel briefly talked about it on Hotline, where he basically said like, they were even lost at some points where it's like, how do we win this? And turns out them not having flashes and them properly pushing the waves and trying to make sure that Gragas didn't cut the wave off and scaling properly. That's pretty much how you win it. But probably the most stressful game I've seen all season by Cloud9. But good for them. Good for them.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's move on in our final segment, looking at C9's matches this week. I don't think we're going to talk about the 100 Thieves game too much, considering 100 Thieves is such a train wreck. I think the org is just severely mismanaged how their team is run. I think just from coaching all the way to how they look at talent and the players that they chose. And we can maybe discuss that instead with how Aframu seems to continue to get work despite him really falling off and not being able to compete with other supports, as well as mid lane wise. You have Huhi, who doesn't look that great, at least in comparison to other mid lane talent. And I think you maybe just have to question Someday as well. Just when he first came to NA, he looked like a monster and was just destroying everyone. But he looks like he's really a shadow of his former self and just not playing to the standard I think people held Someday when he first arrived. And so
Yeah,
yeah,
I think a lot of like these players are kind of becoming those shadows of themselves. I mean, well, you could debate who he. Some people don't really agree that he was really that good in
he
his
didn't even have a
quote
shadow in the first
unquote
place.
prime. Yeah, right. But like I just feel like they bought into so much individual talent, but I don't really think they considered the point in their careers that they were at. I think they just kind of went blindly with their reputation that they had built up, but was not necessarily representative of their current form. Like, okay, Bang, yeah, Bang is pretty good, but like everyone else is almost looking pretty washed out. Someday kind of has some potential, but it's been pretty limited, and I haven't really seen him do a
And,
whole
and I,
lot.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, you can go.
Okay. I didn't know how long your thought was going to last. I was also going to say to probably also call out their coaching, just because who is the 100 Thieves coach? Is it Sheepy?
Probably.
Prawley, yes. I don't know why I was thinking of Sheepy. Prawley, I think, has also been really questionable, not in terms of just how he's managed the roster. Like we can look at last year and the whole Rakara Cody Sun fiasco, right? Like it's this split in just how he is handling the drafts and how he is having the team like performing. I think that you just have to call into 100 Thieves into question as a whole, and really just look at them under a microscope and go, why are you doing the things that you're doing? What is not working, and what can you get rid of to fix it?
Yeah, that's definitely. I would say probably is probably is she's definitely a problem. But it's just there's just so much in general to dissect with the team that it's and they're just and especially after how much love they got from last split because that's what they were fantastic, or last season they were
Everyone loved him
fantastic.
last split until
Yeah,
the Cody Sun
yeah,
incident. Oh,
yeah.
and before that, the Meteos incident.
Yeah, even that too, and it's just like there's so much. I mean, and because of that, because of the amount of attention that they've garnered, it seems like a complete 180 where people love you, and now all of a sudden, like everyone is like on the 100 Thieves like train of just like what the hell is going on with this team. I mean,
Yeah,
they have to like win out their games just to even have a positive record right now, which is ridiculous.
yeah. I think a lot of fans are joining the TSM fans from last year who were super ticked off about postseason.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, you got so many hype pieces, and I'm pretty sure even probably in an interview this week said like he's even considering looking at his academy, which it's not fantastic, but at this point you have
At least it's something.
Yeah, at this point you only have 6 games left, and if they lose one more, which is looking very likely considering they're playing us, and they're playing TSM next week, it's just like it's Hail Mary right now. So like anything to even secure a playoff spot is something, because that entire, as far as everyone's concerned, after TSM, C9 and Liquid, like that, there's 3 playoff spots now. You have 4 teams gunning that are 5 and 7 right now that are gunning for playoff spots. So I mean, it's Hail Mary time for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, for sure. Well, though 100 Thieves may look like an easy task, we have to first get through Team Liquid, which is going to be really difficult. If you go way, 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 way back, if you guys remember to the week 1 when we played Team Liquid, honestly, I think we could have won that game if we didn't draft Nunu and we made a couple smarter picks in the draft. I think we totally could have won that game. I think how C9 was playing, we could have won. But they were a little ambitious. It was the first day on stage. I'm not gonna, hit them too hard for that. I can't blame them.
Yeah, I think I kind of tried to forget that game. Not gonna lie.
I think we all did.
Yeah, and it's week 1. There definitely are those jitters, and even Team Liquid was playing questionable too. So it's how
exactly.
much can you really put into that?
Well, now C9's going into this rematch. The team is looking a lot sharper. I think Sneaky and Licorice both are playing out of their minds. I think Zazel is doing his absolute best at just keeping the team together and keeping them on task, which I think is why we chose him over Smoothie. I think when Smoothie was sort of going on the downslope, the team looked really sporadic and like they didn't really have like a focus. But I think with Zazel's shot calling, how Zazel leads the team as a support, the team has so much focus, and he knows exactly what the team needs to do, when to trade objectives and whatnot, and how to coordinate things. And Sven is looking like the jungler he could have been like when he was on TSM and had like no energy. He is. The team looks great, is what I'm saying. I don't want to go on, but they have potential to be Team Liquid, but I think that it isn't likely, just considering the roster that Team Liquid has through Steve foregoing developing actual talent and just putting a $sign on everybody and buying his team. And I think that just the roster that they have, it's going to be difficult, and I'm not super confident that C9 can pull out a win.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be hard because I was super surprised about Sneaky's performance this year. I'll be honest, I had a few doubts, but he's certainly shown himself to have like a lot of potential to carry, and he's been super impactful in every game. But the problem with going against TL is you're going against arguably the best bot laner in North America, and that's going to be a very big task for him. And I guess we'll have to wait and see if he's up to it. I'm not sure.
Exactly. I mean, as much as I kind of hate Doublelift, I have to give credit where credit is due. He is probably the greatest AD carry to ever play in North America.
No question. Yeah, especially when you look at the fact that a lot of people are already murmuring Core winning the MVP award, which I mean, I wouldn't totally disagree with it if they gave it to him today. Like, I mean, Core has been without a doubt the best support in North America. But the one small, like, kind of dent in the armor that I do see, and this is where I think the winning advantage is, simply the top side of the map. Smithy is good, but I don't think he's unbeatable when you look at I mean, we look at Double versus Sneaky. I think that the skill gap is very, very evident. With Jensen and Niski, I don't think it's marginally better, but I would kindly admit that Jensen is better than Niski. With the top side, I don't feel that way at all. I actually do think Licorice is marginally better than Impact. And no matter how, I mean, and there's been times all last season, now that we're moving to a more carry-oriented meta with the top lane, with the Conqueror changes, and we're seeing stuff like, for some reason, people are starting to play Riven now, or, stuff with Silas, and just overall the knowledge that Licorice has. It's just, we've seen it in the past where, in these carry metas, like, maybe Impact isn't the most outstanding. And a lot of his comfort picks, like Sion, have been getting nerfed to the point where no one's really picking them that much anymore. And again, while Smithy is probably a smarter player than Svenskeren, because Svenskeren is a very instinctive and very like reactionary kind of person. I just don't think Svenskeren is I don't think Smithy's on another level compared to Svenskeren. I actually think the jungle matchup's actually going to be very interesting, and that's what I hope to look forward to in terms of that. So that's where I will say T9 can, if they hold to edge it against TL, but this matchup's going to be everything because if we win this one, we can at least force a tiebreaker for the number one seed, which means that we get which number one seed now. We're basically guaranteed a bye week considering we 2-0 TSM and we have a 3-game lead over them. But the number one seed is mainly important because if you get the bye week, you get to choose the number one seed gets to choose their matchup for semifinals, which I would say is good. But I mean, at the very least, we're guaranteed a bye week now, which I think we can at least breathe just a bit. But the true benchmark as to how good we are or how legitimately we can make a run for this championship is again going to be in this because everyone thinks it's this world where we're all just living in TL's world, but I definitely think Cloud9 can actually, at the very least, go toe to toe with these guys.
Yeah, I think that if any team can beat Team Liquid, I think it can be C9. And who knows, maybe it's a deal where Jensen has been studying Niski all this time, and then we break out Golden Glue, and in Golden Glue just trashes Jensen because he's not prepared. And sometimes that's where you got to hit Jensen because his mental is not strong. I I guess going to my next question, what do you think that we need to do about Jensen? Just because he is still Jensen, and with what is around him on Team Liquid now, he has even more potential to do Jensen things.
All right, I'm gonna hop in here. I think you guys are giving a little too much credit to Team Liquid here, and not enough credit to Cloud9. And I think that the mid lane matchup is kind of a perfect example of that. If you go back to the first game, a lot of the mistakes that we made centered around the mid lane. Like the first big loss that we had, we made a stupid mistake to fight into Jensen, who had a full item to Niski's like a lost chapter or something, or a needlessly large rod, and which is a fight that we win 1% of the time. And I think that if we can play a little bit smarter through that matchup, and we don't pick ourselves into a bad matchup, I think that is a matchup that we should be able to go even in most of the time, if not most likely every time.
Do you think that Niski can better compete with Jensen now, considering that he has had time now to gel with the team, and it looks like he's gelling really well with this team, Frozen, especially on picks like Silas and things that he can more like directly impact fights outside of things like Zoe. That's more not as direct, I guess the word.
Yeah, I think so. And it's not like he has to go in and win lane by 20 CS or anything. He just has to go in, play his role in the team comp. And it's a game that we can win. We've shown that we can play every phase of the game exceptionally better than every other team in North America. And I think if you get to late game settings, I actually think this Cloud9 team is a lot more creative than what we might see out of even Team Liquid.
Yeah, our late game has been extremely formidable, and I mean it really won us these last few games that we had. Well, maybe not the GGS one, but certainly against TSM. I personally think Niski has gone a long way from Miski that we had that first game. Now that it's all coming back to me, I think that his individual skill and comfortability on the stage has definitely increased, and I think he may not totally crap on Jensen or anything like that, but I definitely think that he can at least like play his role effectively and not get totally destroyed by Jensen by any means. And I think that he can still be like a very important part of the game and shouldn't get shut out by Jensen quite as hard.
Yeah, for sure. I have no more thoughts. So does anyone have any final things to say before we get to predictions and close out?
Just really looking forward to this game, man. And again, this is just the benchmark for, in my opinion, the benchmark for how for C9's true potential for the rest of the season.
Yeah, for sure. This weekend is going to be a very big statement into our future, I believe, especially related to playoffs, and perhaps we'll utilize our 7-man roster that rumors have been going around about and the players have talked about. And I'm thinking that if we can pull that off, C9 will look actually very scary, and I'm really hoping that's what happens.
Frozen, do you have anything to say? You've been quiet.
No, I think I added everything I wanted to.
All right. Well, really quickly, I guess let's go down, starting with Arn. Arn, who do you predict? What do you predict our weekend record is going to be?
Well, it's definitely not gonna be 0-2. I I'll stick with the boys, trust the process as I did last year, and I will go with a 2-0.
All right, Dr. Manhattan.
I always wanted 2-0, and if we do get this, I mean, I will say this right now: if we can get this win over TL, it's just smooth sailing from there because none of the teams you have to play from here on out are above 500. So just focus on this game right now, and at the very least, try to force that tiebreaker for first place. I mean, playoffs are, I don't think mathematically guaranteed, but win 2-3 more games we're in, and win 3 more, we have a bye week. So I would say just put as much energy as you can into at least trying to tie Team Liquid right now. And again, if you can do that, then no one's gonna care about week 1.
For sure. Frozen.
2-0. I'm not the most confident about the 2-0, but I'm feeling it. I feel like this is the weekend.
All right. Well, I'm gonna be the coward and say 1-1. Oh, shut up. I am a realist and I am a coward, so Caution Boy is going to go 1-1. If C9 does well, they will surprise me and I will be super happy. If they don't, I will just say, well, I told you so.
How convenient.
Yes, how convenient. Oh, stop. Anyway, that's it for Bodied. Thank you very much for listening. Make sure to follow us at C9 Bodied. Hit us up. Talk to us about the show and about Cloud9 and whatnot. And we'll see you again next time.
All right, later, guys.
Later.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.